Welcome back to the Sovereign Renaissance. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the political side of the esoteric and the architecture of allegiance, understanding political cultic systems. Political cultic systems are unique structures that blend traditional political mobilization with the psychological control mechanisms typically found in high control religious groups. Unlike standard political parties, these systems rely on an absolute devotion to a charismatic leader or a rigid, infallible ideology. South Africa's democracy today is not only shaped by the ANC's policies, but by its transformation into a political cult, where history, symbolism, and loyalty eclipse accountability. Can a nation really move forward when its ruling party is trapped in the past? A socio-political analysis of the African National Congress, or ANC, through the lens of political cultism requires a nuanced look at how a liberation movement transitions into a governing body. While the ANC is a democratic entity, certain internal mechanics, specifically the factionalism, patronage, and the liberation pedigree, mirror the psychological and structural dynamics found in high control groups. The liberation pedigree as infallible doctrine. In many political cults, the organization's history is treated as a sacred text. For the ANC, its role as the primary architect of the South African liberation provides it with a moral monopoly. The chosen narrative. The party often positions itself not just as a political choice, but as a sole legitimate representative of the people's will, divine right to rule. Former President Jacob Zuma famously stated the ANC would rule until Jesus comes back. This framing moves the party from a circular administrative body to a spiritualized or eternal fixture in the South African psyche. The factional cult of personality. Political science increasingly points to the rise of personality cults within ANC factions rather than the party as a monothelic whole. The big man phenomenon. Leaders often cultivate personal loyalty that supersedes a loyalty to the state or the constitution. This creates mini cults where followers protect the leader from legal or ethical accountability, i.g., for example, the hands off campaign. A moral loyalty. In these substructures, the leader is often exempted from the party's own ethical codes. Supporters view attacks on the leader, such as corruption charges, as persecution by outside enemies, a classic trait of cultic isolationism. Patronage and economic dependency. A key mechanic of control in political cult is the total dependency of the member on the group for their livelihood. In South Africa, this manifests through cadre deployments and the patronage state. The cost of dissent, leaving or criticizing the party, often means losing access to government contracts, employment, or social standing. This creates a closed loop where survival is tied to ideological and political compliance. State capture as a group resource. When public resources are diverted to sustain party structures, the state essentially becomes the host for the organization's survival, mirroring how cults exploit the assets of their members. The Manichaean worldview. The ANC often employs a Manichaean black and white rhetorical style, dividing the world into revolutionaries and counter revolutionaries. The external enemies. Criticism from the media, the judiciary, or opposition parties is frequently framed as an attempt by dark forces or foreign agents to reverse the gains of 1994. The struggle identity. By keeping the language of the struggle alive, decades after democracy, the party maintains a high stake environment where leaving the party feels like abandoning a sacred cause. The modern reckoning, the 2024 threshold. The 2024 elections, where the ANC fell below 50% for the first time, represents a deprogramming moment for the South African electorate. The shift towards a government of national unity, or GNU, suggests a break in the one-party dominance spell, forcing the ANC to operate as a peer rather than a sovereign parent. Core characteristics: ideological totalism. The group's worldview is presented as the ultimate truth. Complex societal issues are reduced to a binary struggle between us and them, the enemy or the corrupt. Charismatic leadership. Power is centralized in a figurehead who is often viewed as the only person capable of saving the nation or fixing the system. This leader is usually exempt from the rules applied to the followers and is exempt to accountability. Isolation, and the echo chambers. Through the use of loaded language and thought-terminating cliches, members are encouraged to distrust external information sources, including mainstream media, academia, and even family members who disagree with the cause. Emotional manipulation. These systems often weaponize fear, pride, and a sense of exclusive belonging to ensure loyalty. Members feel that leaving the movement is not just a political choice, but a moral or personal failure. The mechanisms of control. Political cults often emerge during times of deep social or economic instability. They capitalize on legitimate grievances but redirect that energy towards the preservation of the group's power. By creating an environment where the cause justifies any means, these systems can lead to the erosion of democratic norms and the radicalization of the base. Distinction from traditional politics. While all political movements seek to persuade and organize, a healthy political system encourages debate, transparency, and the possibility of leadership change. In contrast, a political cultic system views disagreements as treason and treats the pre- preservation of the leader's image as the highest priority of the state or organization. In conclusion, navigating the intersection of power and persuasion. Understanding political cultic systems is less about analyzing specific policy platforms and more about identifying the psychological architecture of a movement. These systems thrive in the gap between public disillusionment and the desire for absolute solutions, transforming political participation into a form of total identity. The ultimate danger of these structures lies in their ability to dismantle the boundary between the individual and the collective. When a political cause demands the surrender of a critical thinking and personal ethics in favor of institutional loyalty, it ceases to be a tool for governance and becomes a mechanism for exploitation. Recognizing these early markers of cultic behavior, such as the demonization of dissent, the elevation of a leader above the law, and the systematic use of misinformation, is the most effective defense against them. By prioritizing intellectual autonomy, transparency, and a health of pluralistic debate, societies can build a natural immunity to the seductive pull of an extremist control. Ultimately, the preservation of a free society depends not just on the strength of its laws, but on its but on the capacity of its citizen to remain grounded in reality, even when a higher truth is promised in exchange for their devotion. And if you liked today's video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, goodbye.